Okay, you are looking super hot these days.
Thank you. It's all the stress.
Well, dress looks good on
There has to be some upside to it, right? So, yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Yes, well, I was just
Do
saying
you
it's
like my
I am so that was amazing. I love that. And I love I hope Hazel's probably asleep. I don't know.
she was 100% asleep. Hazel
Yeah,
goes to bed early and also it's 1 a.m.
I know. Well, and I'm in New England right now, so it's 8 p.m. And
Okay.
you've got to know that I'm wearing pajamas underneath on the bottom.
I have sweatpants on underneath this, and as soon as this is over,
Yeah,
I don't even get my leg up. I am having a glass of wine to like
good.
try and knock me out, and then I'll go straight to bed.
Good, good, good. Goodness. Well, you are always such a trooper to join us so late. But
I'm glad to be asked. I'm glad. Like, to be honest, I probably wouldn't be in bed anyway. It's more just like I'm not usually having to be like up and on, but it's not like I'd be in bed. Like, who am I kidding? Really?
yeah.
I'd be watching like, Netflix or something. So
So what are you watching these days on Netflix? Are you watching anything fun and crimey?
not really. I'm saving Furious, which apparently just started on Disney and is about a female serial killer. But
Okay.
I'm saving it until like I don't have a deadline and I'm not actually on my phone. So what I'm watching at the moment is like all the traitors from all the different countries, that show the
Yes.
traitors.
Yes. Hmm.
So there's US, there's Canada, there's Australia, there's New Zealand, there's Ireland, there's the UK, and I'm just working my way through them all because my brain, like, because I'm writing, I'm just completely like fried at the end of the day, and I just want something like that I don't have to pay too much attention to.
Yes. Yes. I get
And I
that.
loved Widow's Bay. I thought that was like absolutely amazing,
Widow's
amazing.
Bay. Okay.
Yes,
Well,
it's on Apple.
Meredith and I always have to talk about different crime shows that we're watching on All Things Murderful they're currently reading. And I'm
Right.
right now, all I'm doing is just watching knitting videos, which is not very murderful, I guess. So I need to,
Well, actually, you remind me, there's a new documentary on Netflix.
okay.
Now, what is it called? Is it called something like Toxic Love or something like that?
I
It
started that.
is crazy.
I
It is
started that.
crazy. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, I was putting makeup on the other day and I thought I need a break from my knitting videos. So, yes, so that's what I did. Okay. I am so excited to talk to you for so many reasons. First of all, it's been a minute since we've gotten to talk.
Yes. 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 It
And
has.
yes. And normally I'm not the driver on all of this Zoom. So I'm going to do the very best I can, but I'm going to tell our participants that at the end, if we don't talk too much, we're going to have
Mhm.
time for questions. So put your questions, don't put it in the chat because I can't talk to Catherine and look at that at the same time. Put it in questions and we will, and if we have time, we will get to that. So, but I've been so excited to talk to you about this because I read this book. So we just bought a house on Cape Cod and we're
Very
spending
nice.
the summers because I'm a big baby and I don't like the heat. And so I read Buyer Beware the first day that we lived in this house. So
Oh.
lots of so I'm a little triggered. It was a really fun time to read this book. I have so many fun about that. But it was probably in so many ways the most incredible book to read the first night I was living in our new house. So
Yes.
yeah.
Sorry. Sorry about that.
Are you kidding? You know I love to be scared to death. So this was incredible. So thank you all for coming tonight. I know that you have a huge fan base here in the States through Fabled, through currently reading and beyond. And it is our life's mission to get your name out more and more in the US because you're amazing and we love you so
Thank
much.
you.
Um,
I love you back. I love
Yes,
you
oh,
back.
I know. We feel the love. So I'm going to start with the bio and then we're just going to get things going. So,
Great.
okay, so Catherine Ryan Howard's work has been shortlisted for the Mystery Writer of America Edgar Award for Best Novel, the UK Crime Writers Association, John Creasy New Blood and Ian Fleming Steel Dagger Awards, and the Ann is it Ann Post on Post
On post,
on
on post.
on Post
Yeah.
Irish Crime Fiction Book of the Year multiple times. Her novels have been included in the New York Times Best Thrillers of the Year, the Washington Post Best Mysteries and Thrillers of the Year, and the Sunday Times Best Thrillers of the Year. She is published in 20 languages, and a number of her titles have been optioned for screen. Catherine's fifth novel, 56 Days, a thriller about a couple locked down together in Dublin that Catherine wrote while she was locked down in Dublin in the spring of 2020, won the An Post Irish Crime Fiction Book of the Year and was longlisted for the Dublin Literary Award, the world's most valuable annual literary prize. A screen adaptation starring David Cameron and Avon Georgia. Is that right?
Close enough. Yeah, close
Enough.
enough.
Okay. Debuted exclusively on Amazon Prime Video in February of 2026. Prior to writing full time, Catherine worked for a travel company in the Netherlands and in Walt Disney World, Florida. She lives in Dublin. Her book, Buyer Beware, just came out in America this week. So, congratulations for that. We're very excited for you.
Thank you.
And I had some fun kind of digging around today, and I was looking at your website, and I wanted to let our listeners and our viewers know the different magazines that have bragged about you, and I think this is great. So the New York Times writes, Catherine Ryan Howard has sentences that unspool like silk and a sly gift for misdirection. She disorients the reader by carefully withholding details and using sleight of hand chronological tricks. Again and again, you'll blithely follow her down the wrong paths. And then the Washington Post said, at or near the top of any list of superb Irish thriller writers these days is Catherine Ryan Howard. This is about as good as suspense fiction gets. Well, that is a rousing endorsement. So I
Yeah,
wanted,
no pressure. Like after, I think the first one is for The Trap and the second one is for 56 Days. And
uh,
of course, when you get something like that, it's just the greatest high. Like when I read that Washington Post review, I cried.
well,
But
you
then after like 5 minutes, you're like, oh my God, how am I gonna live up to this now? That's the way the writer's brain works. It's just anytime something good happens, you find a way to like find
yeah.
the negative of it. But very grateful to have those reviews.
Yeah, I just talked to a thriller writer. We did an event at the shop last week called, I think, Summer Thrills. And there was an author who just wrote her sophomore novel. And she said, the worst part about it was not the negative reviews, it was how positive the debut reviews were. Because then it's like, oh,
Yeah.
you have to keep that going. So I
Yeah,
think you
I
can imagine.
had absolutely horrific second novel syndrome. It was The Liar's Girl, and it was so, so bad that I had to go to London to be like sat down by my editor at the time to like she had to sort of break the news to me that the book was not working and I had to like go back to the start. And the early drafts of that book, she, in the nicest possible way, she was like, Catherine, this is a book where people are just going to the airport and back from the airport. And she was absolutely right. And so it was devastating because I didn't know how I'd written distress signals. Like I wasn't sure how I had done it.
Oh,
Luckily, I remembered, and then the Liar's Girl ended up being a finalist for the Edgar, so it all worked out.
yes.
Maybe like the worse the writing experience, the better the book or something. But I totally identify with that. That like, I think this is book 9. I'm 2 drafts into book 10, and I'm still like, how do I do this? How actually do you do this?
Liar's Girl is the only book left for me to be a completist. And I'm
Oh
just saving
wow.
it for a rainy day.
Yeah,
So
you should.
yeah, yeah.
That's fun. Yeah.
And so I found your books through our mutual friend Meredith Monday Schwartz, who
My
found
one woman hype show.
yes, for sure. She's become a two-woman hype show with the two of us. But yeah, I took The Nothing Man, which was a serial killer book, on my 25th wedding anniversary trip. So
Lovely.
that was super special. And
And I've actually met your husband, haven't I? Like,
you
didn't I
sure
meet him when
have.
you were in Delta? Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. And actually our 30th anniversary is this weekend. So I've been with you for 5 years. He dropped me off with you and we had ourselves a good old time when
Yeah,
I was in Dublin. It's almost been 3 years ago now.
that is crazy. That is
That
crazy.
was fun. And I'm dying to go back. I was telling you earlier, I've read Land earlier by Maggie O'Farrell.
Hmm.
Just finished the new one by Ariel Lawhon, the Pirate Queen, about
Yeah.
Grace O'Malley. So I'm just like, oh, I'm just missing Ireland and all Irish things. So yeah, so I'm
Well,
getting
if you
back.
don't like the heat, we've had a weird summer. We've had a heat wave,
Oh, I
and
know.
it's still quite warm. So September, October would be a better time to go than during the summer. So
Yeah, my Mary Beth and I went to England and Scotland earlier in May and June, and the tube was melting, so it was so
yeah,
hot. It was pretty
so hot.
brutal. So anyway, crazy. But all that to say, I hope it's very clear how much I adore you and adore your work. And if anybody who is watching has not read your books, you're in for a treat. And without further ado, let's talk about buyer beware. So I'd love for you to set the scene for us. And as I love for you to do, I'd love for you to give us the long version. And then if you can, make it a 6 word description like you do.
I don't know if I have a six-word description for this one, really.
But
God, I don't know if I do, but the sort of medium version, like Goldilocks, the medium version
yes.
is because it's impossible to talk about 90% of this novel without spoiling it. Um, it's about a woman, a single woman in her 40s who's moving into the first home she's ever owned, looking for a fresh start. She'll only get that fresh start if she can keep her secrets. But what she doesn't realize is her new home is keeping someone else's secrets already. And in the shadows, maybe someone is watching to ensure that those secrets stay secret. I keep saying secret, but that's what the book is ultimately about. It's about a house of secrets. That's my one line. It's a house of secrets.
It's a house of secrets. Okay.
Yeah.
And I read somewhere that this book really kind of addresses your biggest fear. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, two of my biggest fears. One I can't talk about because it's the ending of the book, but the other is the WhatsApp community group. Now, I don't know how familiar Americans are with WhatsApp. I don't know who I was talking to a few weeks ago, and they said that really like Facebook Messenger or Facebook is what people use if there's like a neighborhood group or whatever and your neighbors are keeping an eye on each other. But here WhatsApp is a huge thing. It's a text messaging service. Everyone is in multiple WhatsApp groups. I'm in a group with a load of crime writers. I'm in a group with a small bunch of crime writers. I'm in a group with this is
Yes.
like WhatsApp is just eating into our lives all day basically. And there is like in every sort of street, neighborhood, apartment complex, there's a WhatsApp group. And I have lived here, which is an apartment complex, for 6 years. And I have thus far successfully avoided joining the WhatsApp group because they drive me absolutely mad. Like it's just people complaining and, who parked there. And I have this like broken ladder. Does anyone want it? And, that's my worst fear. But there
Yes.
is a far darker fear that I can't
I
reveal, but know that it's like the worst thing that could happen to me. It is truly terrifying to me what
I
happens
think
at the
I
end of this
know
book.
I think I know what that may be. I will WhatsApp you later and make sure. We have a neighborhood in America. We have neighborhood group chats, and it's that way. It's like somebody
Yeah,
is jumping into our yard, and of course, everyone knows about it. And
yeah.
it's just, it's
Just
just,
just just keep to yourself. There's no need to be telling everyone all of your business all of the time. And
yeah,
it just drives me bananas. Everyone who knows me knows I don't want to be added to any more WhatsApp groups.
yeah. So funny. I really think the next generation is going to completely go off grid because,
I hope they do. For their sakes, I hope they do. I hope they
yes,
do.
for sure. Okay, let's talk about the characters. There are multiple points of view in the book.
Yeah.
We have Aaron, Hannah, and we have
Mhm.
Jason.
Yeah.
Um, and we find them kind of from really what about the year 2000 up to present time. Um,
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about those characters and describe them for our listeners.
Yeah, well, as you know, I'm very lazy. I don't like to do a lot of research, so I will use whatever I can that's already at my disposal. So Erin is quite funny because Erin is basically me up to a point. Um, none of the bad stuff, but I did want to be a virologist. I did go to secondary school, which is what we call high school, at the same time she did. So I was sort of delving into my memory banks to like remember the music we were listening to and the places we went. And I'm really fascinated by what happens between the ages of 18 and 22. I think it's especially for women, I think it's such a formative time in your life. It's the only time I think when you're both old enough and young enough to do
Mm,
whatever you want because you're finally an adult, you can make your own decisions, but it's also like not too late to do a U-turn if you go down the wrong road, you would hope. And in this book, with Erin in particular, I'm really interested in that time, and I'm interested in how not making a decision is in itself making a decision and kind of drifting into things. And, if I had made different decisions, where would I be in my life? And I really wanted to write about a woman who gets to her 30s or 40s and is sort of suddenly presented with the fact that her life is not going to go, the rest of her life is not going to go the way she thought. And what does she do with the anger that maybe a man has made
yes.
her feel over that? And then Hannah is, I suppose, like I am now. She's single, she's in her 40s. I have made a real effort in my novels to put women who are like me into them. I would love to see, like, by its very nature, domestic thrillers are about like families and, children and husband and wives. And, I have a home too. Like, I would love to see myself represented more. Now, having said this, my next novel features a married couple with toddlers. So I clearly, like, knowing that was coming, I went way into the single women
Funny.
thing in
Yeah.
this novel. But I just had a lot of fun. Like one of my friends said, I feel like you were getting a lot of stuff out of your system. And maybe I was in some ways. But, as ever, I say I'm going to write a simple novel and then I sit down and it doesn't go that way. So we have kind of two or three distinct characters sort of swirling. I imagine it like sort of water circling a drain. And as the book goes on, the circle gets smaller and smaller until they all
And
come
faster and faster.
together,
Yeah.
yeah, in
Yeah.
what I hope is surprising ways. That's
Yes.
really all I can say.
And so let's talk about Jason.
Yeah. Lovely Jason.
Yeah.
Gosh.
And I love the name Jason. Um, he is not my favorite character, but maybe he's fun to,
Shocker.
yeah, maybe fun to write.
He wasn't even fun to write. Like, when I do a serial killer, like the guy in the trap, I love him. I can't think what his name is now, but I loved writing him, and I know that doesn't say a lot about me, but even though or doesn't say a lot good about me, but he was so funny. Like, even though he was a serial killer, his sort of attitude to it was really entertaining to me to write. Whereas
Yes.
Jason was just like sticky and icky, and but you have to write. Like, I will say, someone said to me something about Jason being coercive, like being abusive. I don't know if he is. I don't know if I'd go that far. I just think he's a bit of like an arsehole, and this happens at a time when he's not old enough to like know better and change his behavior. And again, that fascinating time when we're young, but we're also adults, but we're not really, and we don't have the perspective to know any better. And careless people, I think young people are very can be careless with other people's hearts. And so that's, it's just something I wanted to explore.
Yeah, one of my favorite descriptions in this book was Jason interacting with one of these women, and it says he was a meteor that crashed into her planet, but she was a pebble that had dropped into his ocean. And I was like,
Yeah.
That was good. That was good,
Thank
Catherine.
you.
Yeah. And I think we've all had that experience with the boy at some.
Well, I was thinking as well of, Betty Broderick. Like, I'm absolutely obsessed with the second season of Dirty John on Netflix. And one of the highlights of my life this year is that Alexandra Cunningham, who was the showrunner and like creator of that series, she was a consulting producer on 56 Days. She wrote one of the episodes, and I got to meet her at the premiere. And I found out that all this time she's been reading my books. And I was like, I couldn't even speak because I love that show so much. And the reason I love it is it because, we all heard the Betty Broderick case at the time when it happened back in the 90s. And the narrative was very much crazy bitch, won't let her husband go, can't get over it. But Alexandra's show is so nuanced and shows like there was so much more to it than that. And, where does a woman like Betty Broderick go when her husband has had his children and she's older now and she doesn't look the way she used to, and he moves on with someone who looks like her 20 years ago. And that's where that sort of pebble meteor thing came from, because he moved on. Now we know how that story ends. It did not end well for him either. But before the tragedy, he had moved on. He was able to start his life over again, no problem at all. But the woman doesn't always get the same opportunity. And that's what I was thinking about when I wrote that.
Oh yeah, so good. Okay, so let's talk about the neighbors. I want to know, when you were writing the neighbors, were you just thinking about like worst nightmare situation or just, yeah. So let me tell you, I have a little funny story here. I was reading this book again. I read it in one day, brought my husband, had not gotten here yet. And I walked outside and a neighbor walked by. So I was like, oh, good. I'm super extroverted. Can't wait to meet my neighbors. Well, he comes up to me and started asking me questions. And he said, oh, I know what your name is. And he pulled up his notes app and he has every single person's name from the registry of every house in the neighborhood. And he's like, yeah, I know how much you paid for the house and and mine, like Brian and Elizabeth Barnhill and where we live. And I thought, oh my word, this is
I
so
would
cool.
like call the police. Yeah,
I was like, well, it's nice to meet you. Walking back in.
bye. Yeah, I'm gonna put this house up for sale immediately. Like that is so I'm not like you, right? I am introverted and when I'm at home, I just want to be left alone. Like my idea of a war crime is someone arriving at my house unannounced. Like don't you dare like knock on my I need a text. I need to be asked if it's
Yes.
okay. Like so I don't love like getting to know my neighbors, because if I want to go like down to the shop or whatever to get a pay. I don't have to talk to people on the
Yes.
way.
Yeah.
So it's easy to be anonymous in, a city apartment complex, but I live in fear of exactly that, where you're kind of stuck with the neighbor. And like one of the ideas I was thinking about for future books is, I love the idea of novels like She Came to Stay, where you have a guest that you don't know very well who will not get out of your house. Like that's my real fear.
Oh,
So
no.
it's this kind of, I just wanted to write about neighbors who, because they're all fine, like for the most part, it's just that they want to be neighborly and she doesn't, because that will hinder her keeping her secret. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. I know. Of course, I move here and I'm like, oh, look, there's going to be 100 new friends for me. And then after that,
We are so not the same person.
I don't know. Well, I did after that, I thought, you know what? Maybe I'll just
Yeah.
stay.
My dream house is like out in the middle of nowhere with like 12-foot fence all around, electronic gates. No one can find me. That would be my dream. That would be
Oh,
my dream.
yes. Okay. Well, that's fair. I can totally. Okay, so we have here multiple points of view and
Mm.
timeline. So how do you keep all that straight? Do you write one character all the way through, or how did you decide where to put everyone's timelines and perspectives?
So with this book, I did actually write it as you read it. I wrote it in the order it appears in the book. But like I always find these questions kind of funny because the book didn't come out this way. Like this is, I think, draft 5 of the book. It's my first book with Simon and Schuster. I have a new editor Tim, who absolutely like pushed me, I think, further than I've ever been pushed editorially before, which he only did because he knew like there was more in the tank. So he was only asking me to do what he believed I could do. And it was so worth it because it wasn't until that final draft where there was a moment where I was like, oh, I totally get. I see now what he's trying to get me to do, and everything clicked into place. But that's how that stuff ends up working. So like I will keep track of it. You know, I love an Excel spreadsheet. But when you're sort of in the earlier drafts, you're not too worried about where things are and if everything is in the right place. It's later. That's where the editing comes in and the revising and the redrafting. And so I always say to writers who are like at the very beginning of their career and, you know, they're like not sure what they're doing. Don't be looking at the books on the shelf and thinking that's what you have to sit at home and produce because those books are edited and rewritten and, you know, polished. So, yeah, but it was a lot to keep track of. But like, I swear to God, I just had a conversation last week with my editors about the book I'm writing now. And I was like, I swear, guys, I swear the next one is going to be simple. And I mean it. I mean it. Not the next one because I'm already writing it and it's super
Yeah.
complicated, but the one, the one
This
after
time I mean it. Yeah. No.
2028, simple book. I swear. I swear.
Okay. We won't hold you to it. Um, so this book talks a lot about, and I'm trying again, it's always tricky to talk about.
With thrillers, always. Yeah.
Tell
Yeah.
anything. But I think it's fair to say that something nefarious has happened in this house. Is that
Yeah,
fair?
we can say that. And like I think we can say there is a human-shaped stain on the floorboards of one of the rooms. She discovers that quite early on.
Okay, very good. So the book talks a lot about a stigmatized house, or
Hmm.
and there's also a group of people in the book that form the Murder House Club. So they love.
Who I love. Yeah.
I love the Murder House Club. I want to be in a Murder House Club. And I love there's actually a quote in the book that says, a location is not fully cleansed so long as
Yeah.
the violence that occurred there is important to someone. And that is
Yeah.
by Frank Taylor, which I thought that was excellent.
Yeah.
So let's talk about a murder house. Is it something that interests you, or what do you think about a stigmatized house? Do you think that there are ghosts? Do you think that people can go on living a normal life in a home where something very bad has happened?
Well, this is just me trying to make myself feel better because I don't own a home. I'm still renting. And luckily, I'm the first person to ever live in this apartment. And I'm grateful for that every day. So I don't have to worry about what went on here before I moved in. Like, I am fascinated by murder houses. I'm more fascinated by people's fascination with them. So less so the house and more the fact that like one of the things I read is homes have followings. So, you know, I just read recently that they had to change the number of the house where John Benet Ramsey died, like the numerical number, to stop people showing up outside and taking pictures and probably selfies and God knows what. And that's what interests me is other people being interested in those houses. I personally do not think I could live in a house where something terrible had happened. Because I just think my brain, especially as a crime writer, I don't think I could deal with it. And like I don't believe in anything, I don't believe in ghosts or anything like that, but I have had experiences that like cannot be explained using any other word. And I do think there are places that have bad vibes. I use in the book the example of Alcatraz, which I've been to twice, and there's this one particular cell where apparently like the worst of the worst were kept, one particular block, I should say, and the windows looked out at San Francisco, at the city itself, so they could see the life they were missing. And apparently, if the wind was right, they could hear music, you know, coming from the boats and stuff. And it just seemed like a particular form of torture. And I really in that space could feel like what you could only describe really as despair. So, because I don't believe in kind of supernatural stuff, I was like, is there a scientific explanation for this? And maybe there is. There's something called chemosignals, which are a type of pheromone. And there was a study done where they collected sweat. In the book, it says people watching horror movies, but in reality, they were skydiving. In the actual study, they were skydiving. So,
Oh,
people who were skydiving, people who were on a treadmill, and then a
mhm.
third group of people who I hope were highly paid had to smell both sets of sweat, and only the skydivers triggered a fear response in their brain. So,
Yeah.
like in layperson's terms, you could say the fear survived. And so
Ooh,
then we get to think like, if someone was murdered in a room and they were crying, they were sweating, could that be absorbed into the floorboards? Could you someone else feel that later? These are all the rabbit holes I was
Google
falling
that.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my Google history is literally a crime scene. Like
My word. Yeah. What was the strangest thing you Googled for this book? Do you remember? I always love asking all of it.
it was about decomposition. It was about timelines and decomposition, and very careful Googling that not to hit the image search or anything like that. But
Oh,
yeah, it was about decomposition.
yeah. I hope that somewhere there's somebody who knows, like, oh, it's just Catherine Ryan Howard. Don't worry about
It's
her.
just don't worry about it. Yeah, yeah,
She's just
yeah.
writing another book. Yeah. So funny. And I was thinking also, I love the title. Did you come up with the title? Because how perfect.
No,
Did you not? That was
no,
perfect.
I never come up with the titles. I'm so bad at them. So I think I was calling it originally "If These Walls Could Bleed." And
Oh,
then I was calling it Within These Walls, which was the name of one of the articles I had read. And then this is an exclusive because no one knows this. It was going to be called Your Forever Home, as in your possessive, YOUR. But
yes.
there was a double meaning because maybe someone is forever home. But
Mm.
I'm glad we changed it. At the last minute, someone was like, no. And then there was kind of a run around the office and someone came up with buyer beware, which I actually feel like had been on an earlier list and we'd dismissed it. But then by the time the book was in its final draft, it seemed to fit it perfectly. And now I can't remember. I couldn't imagine it being called something else. Like I think it's the perfect,
Well, and honestly, I read a lot of thrillers, crime fiction. So many of the titles sound so
the
same.
same.
And I know
Yeah.
hard to keep them straight, but buyer
Well,
beware.
my pet peeve is when you can take a thriller title and put it on like 20 other thrillers. That drives me mad.
Oh yeah,
Like, and there's so many titles that are like that. So I love a really specific,
short,
snappy title.
like,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
you don't see it everywhere. And the word girl is not in it. Not, I mean, you've had
I
a
mean,
you've had
I've been there. I've been there with the girl, but my girl, and I still argue this to this day, she literally was a girl. She was a teenager, so I feel like, I was good with that girl.
that's right. Yes. You're allowed a girl for sure.
Yeah.
But
I had one. It was all good.
yes. Okay, so most of us I think here are probably from the States. And can
Hmm.
you tell us a little bit about the location? Is it Dundren? Am I saying that right?
Dundrum.
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 Okay.
Yeah.
Can you
So
tell us a little bit about Dundrum?
it's where I live, right? It's like right out the window. That's how lazy I am. I can see the main street from my window, not right now because it's 1:30 in the morning. But it's like like as is the case in most Irish cities and towns, it was a village many, many years ago that now has been swallowed up by the suburban spread of the city. So, like, you can walk from here into the centre of Dublin to the Westbury, where we had our French 75s when you were here, in maybe an hour and a bit, like at a gentle stroll. You can absolutely, and it's a lovely walk. But it is its own village as well. Our claim to fame is that we have Ireland's largest shopping mall. And very funny, there was a whole chapter in the book where she goes to the shopping mall, and my editor told me to take it out. And of course he did, because she didn't mean to spend a whole chapter going shopping with money she does not have, by the way, in the shopping mall. But there's these on the main street, there's these little alleyways. And I used to think they were railway cottages down there, which is quite a common thing, excuse me, that we have in Ireland, but they're actually labourers' cottages. So back in the 1800s, when this was all an estate, the owners of the estate would have built these little cottages for the people who worked the land.
Hmm.
And they are tiny. They're like, we're talking about a cottage where you go in, you might have two rooms downstairs, if you got two people and they stretched their arms out, maybe they could touch both sides of the house, one room upstairs. And now these houses, having been renovated because we're in this area, are going for like 600,000 euro, 700,000 euro, which I think is maybe 850 in dollars. So just like incredibly expensive homes. But in my book, my cottage is one that has not been renovated yet. So
Ah,
it's in a really crappy condition. It's what an estate agent would say, the perfect opportunity to build your dream home because you have to, because you're going to have to gut the place from top to
yeah.
bottom. So
Pick a
yeah.
pepper. Yeah.
So it's Dundrum is like a little village, but you can be anonymous in it if you try hard.
Yes. And is Delaney Row, is that actually a
No, that's made up. That's
that's
made up.
probably
But like
smart. Yeah.
there are lanes that look exactly like it. It's just you won't find, the bank or the whatever in the because for legal reasons I was changing it.
Yes. Okay. Now you talked in the past about how you don't write series, which I personally am thankful for. I love when a book just wraps up and you said
Yep.
you love to be able to everyone can be murdered and you don't have to go
Yep.
on. Yeah.
No one is safe. Yeah.
And but you've also said that your books kind of live in the same universe. So where does Buyer Beware live in the universe? And I actually looked for Easter eggs because I found them in the past. And if you had went any in this one, I did not find them. Should I have?
Because there isn't any. There
Okay.
isn't any.
I
I
looked.
went rogue. I went rogue. I was like, this is my first book with a new publisher. Also am in this game now 10 years. And I sort of feel like, I wanted to start the next 10 years just with kind of a fresh start. And, you know, I felt like I pushed myself and I was also pushed a lot further with this book. It's about a topic I haven't really written about before. Um, you know, the single womanhood and things like that. And so there are no Easter eggs. There is a guy wearing dinosaur socks. They're not explicitly Jurassic Park socks, but that's kind of as close as it comes to it. So actually, I this book is not part of the existing CRH cinematic universe, but it is the first book in a new one. That's how I
Okay. Well, I'm so
that's how
proud.
I feel.
I was looking for Easter eggs and I'm like, I know these books and I couldn't find
Yeah,
one.
not a
So
single one. That's funny. Thank you for your effort. And I wish you told me because I would have put you out of your misery and said, don't bother looking. There's nothing. There's
yes.
nothing
Okay.
there.
Well, maybe the next one I can find an Easter egg somewhere. But I do
Yeah,
love it about all your previous books. They sort of, like you said, they live in the same universe, and I love that.
yeah, yeah.
So in this book, and I don't know if it's always this way for you, but when you're thinking about your next book, do you envision the crime? Do you envision the victim or the perpetrator or the emotional arc of your protagonist? So what is it different every time or and what happened with Buyer Beware?
So it's kind of slightly different every time. It's usually something I read in an article or hear in a documentary or hear in a podcast, but it's never the main thing. It's never like the main topic of the documentary or the article. It's always some little detail that sends me down a rabbit hole. So in this instance specifically, my agent sent me an article and the headline said, "Could you live in a house that had been the scene of a murder?" And that sent me down diedinhouse.com, which is an American website where you can put in any address and find out all that went on in that house. And what I love is that their logo is like, I mean, you have to go look. I won't spoil it. It's just very funny. We don't have that here because our records are not digitized like yours are. And we just don't have to kind of we have to pay to use these things and stuff. So I just love the idea of all that. And I really wanted to write a book where I'll try and talk in code where what you think is happening at the beginning is not what's happening at all. And,
Yes.
like in The Trap, where there would be a moment where I could pull the carpet out and say, I didn't trick you. It was all there all along, but hopefully you haven't paid attention or guessed what was happening. The site was diedinhouse.com for Jenny, who is asking.
Yes. And people are talking about small town dicks. Have you heard
I
heard
have not, this is new to me. I don't know what this is.
it's amazing. I listen to
Okay.
it all day today. And honestly, if I've
I
got
presume that's short for detectives, right? It's I would be very surprised in you otherwise.
you never know. But no, it's Yardley Smith who was the voice of Lisa from The Simpsons.
I knew I knew the name. Yeah, yeah.
And she's married to a identical twin, and both of the men were cops, and also Paul
Okay.
Holes
All
shows
right.
a lot. And it's fascinating. So I would highly recommend.
Okay.
Yeah.
New book ideas, maybe. I'll have a listen.
There's so many, like cops will just tell these crazy stories, and I think you would love it. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay, so I'm glad with what you just said. In my last interview with all these thriller authors, I asked this question, which I thought was interesting. So this day and age, if anybody here, is listening in about your crime writing thriller books, they love the genre. And we read so many books in this genre. And I think that readers are getting smarter and smarter, and they're figuring out a lot of these tropes that are happening with thrillers and crime writing. So, how do you balance that line between um, somebody reading your book and figuring it out, in the first 50 pages who done it versus kind of telling us at the very end and surprising us with something completely out of left field. So how do you kind of live in that liminal space of letting the reader play along, but not making it so obvious that it's boring?
Like you just have to hope you're doing that, basically. Like I don't think, you know, because I try and write a completely different book every time, I don't worry about that a huge amount. And the other thing is that I absolutely do not put all the weight into the twist. And I think that's the downfall of a lot of contemporary thrillers where, the rest of the book is just there to lead up to the twist. And then if the twist doesn't work, the whole book falls apart. And if I have a twist, or sometimes I just have a reveal, um, like I obviously want that to have a punch, but I don't want the entire enjoyment of the book to be resting on that one paragraph or page or whatever. I think that's kind of insane. And again, it comes back to editing, like it comes back to redrafting. And like I'm writing now the second draft of next year's book. And it's the first time really I'm going to write the book, because when you're writing the first draft, you're just figuring things out and you're just telling yourself the story. And now I'll be able to go back and seed things accordingly. And hopefully, you know, I don't know if I'll be pulling wool over eyes with this book, but, you know, again, I think the most important thing, if I could give writer's advice, it's not to hang everything on the twist. Like every single page of the book is supposed to be enjoyable, and every chapter should have something in it that keeps you reading, and it shouldn't all just be like a prelude to a twist that may or may not work then. And certainly there's things like I can smell a character that is dead, but we're supposed to think is alive 100 miles away. Like you cannot do that to me anymore. I see what you're doing. No one else hears the dead person. You talk to them on the phone, but you're never actually dialing numbers or putting the phone. Like, I'm on to this dead character thing.
Yeah.
So, like, as a reader, there's definitely things that I'm just like, we can't do that anymore, guys, because it's too guessable now. Once it was done once really well, and I
Yeah.
won't name the book to give it away, but after that, stop with the dead people. Stop it.
Well, and it's the Gone Girl effect too. It's that twist
Yeah.
that coming, and in a lot of ways, like I mean, it just that birthed so many hundreds of books that yeah, we're like we just because we got it in Gone Girl, we don't need to keep rehashing
Yes.
the story. So
But
Yeah.
that's also, publishing. Like I wouldn't put that all on writers because publishing is a very funny business, like all creative, like movies, like music. When something works, everyone is not entirely sure why. And so if something else very much like it comes along, of course, there's a huge temptation to rush that out as well because the people who liked that will like this. And that's why we have, cover looks and we're always sending these messages that if you like that, you like this.
Yes.
And I certainly like as a reader do appreciate being told if you like this book, you like this as well, because I usually do. If it's good, I usually do.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the nature of publishing as well, a little bit.
And a book selling too. People
Yeah.
say I love this book, and then so yeah. So I'm always
Yeah.
trying to find comps, but yeah, it is a pitfall. Um, and you brought up a good point. I think one of the things that I love so much about your books is they're very slow burn. Like you just the tension starts to build. And in this day and age when everyone's attention span is so small, how are you able to keep people's interest in the story with a slow burn and it's not just completely action packed the whole time because you do it so well.
I I am laughing because um both my publishers in the US and here organized an awful lot of like bookstagram activity over the last because it came out here on the 18th and it came out in the States just a few days ago. So I've had like maybe 10 days of opening my phone every morning and being bombarded with what people think about my book, which is largely positive, so it's all good. But if I see the phrase slow burn one more time,
Gotcha.
I
Yes.
may lose it. I was actually thinking that when I send in my next book for the laugh, I'm going to call the manuscript slow burn when I send it into my editors. I don't think my books are slow burn. I think my books are normal pace
Normal burn.
and
Yeah.
normal burn,
Yeah.
average burn,
Yes.
standard burn. And what's happening is, I think it's really interesting, like what the thrillers that kind of dominate the bestseller list are teaching readers and what readers are responding to. And it's all this big like circle that feeds into each other. But like I don't think anyone would have called any of my books 10 years ago slow burn. It's just that in comparison to some of the thrillers that are available now and that are dominating the bestseller list, it is less action packed. And I'm just never going to write something where there's like a car chase on
Yeah.
page one. Like it's just not me. And, I'm as bad as anyone. I'm checking my phone after I get to the end of every chapter. I'm watching TV with one eye on one screen and one eye on the other. So I really appreciate that I'm somehow able to keep people reading these books and a lot of people do read them in one sitting as well, which I love. That's like my favorite thing. Um, but if I hear the phrase slow
That's so funny. Well,
I'd love
that's
to
hard.
release a book called Slow Burn. Honestly, I really would.
Yeah.
If I ever open a bookshop, which is my secret dream, I'll have to call it that, I think.
Yes, you have to. Well, but it's still, I mean, I read it in a day, and so it's
Yeah,
not slow and it's not,
I like the sort of, I don't want to use the word gentle, but I like the build up. I like the sort of slow and steady, things speed up. And like when I do my first drafts,
Mhm.
usually nothing happens for the first half of the book. And then everything happens in this very small breadth of pages at the end. And my editors are like, we need to spread some of this action out. So I certainly need, in the early drafts need to pick up pace. And I suppose that's something then that feeds into the slow burn of it. But like I said, I'm just never going to put a car chase
Yeah.
on page one. Like it's just not me.
But it's more I mean, it's the character development, it's the atmosphere, it's that looming sense of dread. So maybe there's just a better way to say it than slow burns. It's just
Yeah, yeah.
the
But
atmosphere.
you're using it in a positive way, whereas all week I've been thinking of it really negatively. So this is helping.
Oh no, I would never think of it as I like that. I like I love the atmosphere rather than like a
Yeah.
car chase or just being so just in your
And
face.
I don't know why I'm using the example of car chase. You don't have to have a car chase to have
Yes.
place in your book, obviously, but I just mean, I also think I really am concerned with realism. I'm concerned with things feeling realistic. I don't care if things are accurate because I think criminal investigation is extremely boring. And if we stuck to the facts, books
Mhm.
would be very long and very snoozy. But I do care about things feeling real and about this feeling like someone's actual life, that this could be happening. And our actual lives, even when there's a lot going on, aren't car chases and whatever else typically. So I think maybe that's, plays a role in as well.
Well, the people are real. They're flawed
Yeah, I hope so.
and not overly, Jason, like you said, he could just be any guy on the street. He's not a, Hitler-like character, but he's a
Yeah, I'm far more interested in, like Ordinary Monster is the working title of next year's book. I don't know if it will survive, but that is what I'm interested in. I don't want someone who is obviously bad. I don't want someone who is rotten to the core. I don't want someone who is walking around looking like Hannibal Lecter. Like I'm more interested in the ordinary monster, the person who is good and has bad bits. And, like I said, someone was saying to me, oh, Jason is an abusive partner. And I don't know if I'd go that far. I just think he's an arsehole. Like,
narcissist.
and yeah,
Yeah.
real people. That's what I want to put in the books.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about you coming to America because it's been such a thrill that your books we are able to get them a lot easier now. So, can you tell us a little bit about your journey to Simon and Schuster in the United States, and maybe we can expect what we can expect with burn after reading. Maybe you need to call it slow burn after reading. I don't know.
Oh my God. I would only that having different titles on both sides of the Atlantic is a recipe for disaster. But
Yeah.
anyway, yes. So lots of people ask me, some most politely, some impolitely, why Burn After Reading was not published in the US. It's the only book of mine that wasn't published in the US. And I've seen some really funny comments, like that are almost conspiracy theories about why it wasn't published, which entertains me no end. But this is my first Barbie, or is my first book with Simon and Schuster. It's my first book with a major American publisher. Authors move publishers all the time, especially when you're doing this as long as I am, 10 years. In the UK, I'm about to go to my third publisher. Like it's just totally normal. But in the moving from one publisher to another and the timing and the scheduling and all that sort of stuff, Burn After Reading effectively became a casualty of that. And it was seen, it was better to skip ahead to Buyer Beware. However, I can exclusively reveal um, to Fabled customers that it hasn't been announced yet, and I don't know the exact date. But Burn After Reading is going to be published in the US by Simon and Schuster. It'll be a paperback original because it's effectively a backlist title, but it will be available in print, in audio, and ebook. I'm hoping maybe like towards the end of next year. And it's not my book for next year. There's another new book next year coming from Simon and Schuster, but Burn After Reading will be extra as well.
That's
So
so
yeah.
I'm so glad that they picked it up. And did you come over to New York to talk to Simon and Schuster? I mean, what has it been like to have a book here? Have you done that yet or
So I've only been over to meet my editor, and I think I was actually trying to think when it was. If you look way back in my reels, I think it was 2 years ago. I have a trip to New York and I say it was for secret reasons and like I can't tell you why. And that's what I was doing. So the thing is, like, I'm sure readers see a lot of UK, particularly UK. I don't know if they see any Irish authors going over to the US on book tours and stuff like that, but that is a real rarity. And that is for a certain tier of author that maybe I will be one day, but I'm certainly not yet. So maybe down the line, I'll be able to come and do events and things. But right now, like, there's no guarantee that just because you're published here, you'll be published in the US. Most of my writer friends, as you know, because you've been trying probably to get their books export editions into
Please.
Fabled.
Yes.
Yeah, like although Jane Casey is going to be published in the US with her new book, so that's very exciting.
Good.
Um, Everything She Didn't Say. It's number one here in Ireland at the moment. I think it's next year at some point, but don't quote me on that. Set in Ireland, standalone thriller. It's obviously amazing. And not just saying that because she's a good friend of mine. But it's not a given that just because we're published here, we'll be published in the US. And so
Right.
I'm so grateful that I still am, and that now I have a brand new shiny home in Simon and Schuster, who have been amazing. And like the thing that's one of the most amazing things is that cover. Like I just absolutely adore the cover of the book, and the whole experience has been great.
Yeah, when I saw it in my Simon and Schuster catalog, I got so excited and told the rep all about it. I said, "You have got to be pushing this book to all of the stores because
Oh,
it's the
thank you.
best."
Thank you.
But yeah, Andrea Mara has come over. So of course, of course, I love Irish crime books.
Yes,
I think it is about Irish crime authors that are their books are just fantastic, and I don't know what it is about. Of course, Ireland is having a moment. I don't know if it's all,
yes,
but and not only in the mystery thriller, but also just in general fiction. So,
yeah.
what it, are you feeling the buzz of that in Ireland, or is it just business as usual?
It's business as usual here because every second person is a writer, and
Yeah.
as a book. And a lot of my friends are not only writers but crime writers. We hang out a lot, and we've been doing a lot of hanging out over the last few weeks because we had festivals and stuff. So certainly, the youngest person on the Booker long list is a 28-year-old Irish writer, and it's his debut. Um, Land, obviously, Maggie O'Farrell has been huge this year. And there's just been an awful lot of exciting debuts. And I haven't read it yet. I'm waiting for a galley to arrive, but there is a crime novel everyone's very excited about for next year by Tempest Black. Now, can she remember the name of the book? It might be called Bitter Fruit. Tempest Black is the author,
Tempest
and there
Black.
cannot be two authors called that. So,
I think so. You're right. Yeah.
but that book has already been optioned for TV. People are describing it as an Irish true detective. So I can't wait to get my hands on that. But I don't know what it is. Like I used to say it was the weather, but we've had the most amazing summer, so I
Yes.
don't know.
Yeah, and the Irish just are good storytellers. They
Yeah, we're really good storytellers, and we love making crime happen in our actually relatively safe country where there's not a lot
yes.
of crime.
That's so funny. Yeah, I know Brian McGilloway is another one, but he's Northern
Yeah,
Irish. He's one that
yeah,
I have a lot of his books from my trip to Belfast. I haven't gotten to them
right.
because it's hard. I can't
He's a
sell
great
them.
writer. He is a
Yeah.
great writer. Yeah, yeah.
Uh, I've got them at my house, but it's hard to read them when I know I can't sell them quite yet. So hoping he
I
can.
understand. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, Sydney wants to know, have you ever based a character on someone you know?
For legal reasons, I have to say no.
Sounds good. Okay.
Yeah,
I know it is nearly 2 o'clock in the morning your time. I was going to see if anyone has a quick question, or if not, we'll be wrapping it up. While we're wrapping up, I would love you to tell us, if you can, a little bit about Ordinary Monster. Can you kind of set
yeah.
this for us?
I mean, God knows what it will end up actually being because I'm just starting the second draft now. Um, and I'm also working on something secret that I can't talk about at all. So my brain is completely like scrambled between two different projects. But I'm excited about them both. Ordinary Monsters begins at the moment, because this could
Yeah.
change, with a woman being woken up in her home around 6:30 on a sunny, really hot July morning. Guess where I got that idea? and there's a scraping sound outside her house, and she doesn't really know what it is, but she, like, it's daylight, like it's July, so it's bright, and she thinks maybe it's a neighbor with a suitcase going on holidays or something. And she's kind of pottering around. She gets up because she knows if she gets up now, she can have a cup of coffee in peace before her kids wake. And then the doorbell goes. And when she opens the door, there's police everywhere, and they have erected like an 8 foot high steel fence all around her house. And they say, you need to get out because we're going to do what's called an intrusive dig. We're going to dig up your garden. We think there's evidence of something there. And that's all I can say because I don't know how much after that is going to stay the same.
Oh, I just got chills. So that sounds incredible.
Like
Yeah.
when I was talking to my editors, I was like, because I love being edited. I love the editorial process. And I love once that bloody first draft is done, because I hate that bit. I love like ripping things up and putting them back together. And I'm not precious. Like I'll get rid of anything because as soon as you get rid of something, you have a better idea to put in its place. But I said the number one thing, the whole point of this book, the reason I wanted to write this book is that metal fence, and
Yes.
that needs to stay. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's incredible. Okay, one last question and then
Okay.
we get you to bed. And me too, because it's
Well,
not
I'm going to have wine and then I'm going to go to bed.
okay, very good. Okay, is there any part of Ireland, Monica wants to know, is there any part of Ireland that you haven't written that you would like to set a future book in? Which
Hmm. That's interesting because, as I mentioned, I am quite lazy. And so I have written about like the places I know well enough. So I've written obviously about Cork. I keep writing about Dublin. I'm now literally writing about my own neighborhood in Buyer Beware. And I wrote about East Cork in Rewind, which I find this inexplicable, but I know it's Meredith's favorite one. I think that's mad that that's her favorite, but you do you, Meredith. I don't know. I think there has been like last summer I stayed in this amazing cottage. Anyone who's on my Instagram would have seen it with this incredible picture window. It was near the Cliffs of Moher. I don't know if you went there when you
yeah.
visited Ireland. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So like 5 minutes from the cliffs and just absolutely beautiful and also totally isolated. I'm staying there by myself. No, if I had to scream, no one would hear me. And so maybe I would set a future. But actually, Jane's book that's going to be published in the States is set in not in that area, but in a similar house, I would say. So I think she got there first. The answer probably is no until I move somewhere new. And then because I'm lazy, I start writing about writing about
I
that book.
when I went to the cliffs, it was so windy. I mean, every picture I have, my hair is literally up in the air, and I
Yeah, it was pretty windy when I
was
was there.
everywhere about how dangerous it is. And I thought,
Yeah.
just a wind can blow me over into a
Well, people have fallen off and part of the path is closed because of that. But I had a weird experience at the Cliffs of Moher. So I was by myself. I drive up and the woman on the gate was super friendly, like where you pay to park your car. She was really like asking me
Are you
what,
okay?
like where I was staying and where had I been. And I was kind of thinking, Jesus, like she's fierce nosy. And I realized afterwards that maybe it was because I was on my own and maybe people go to the cliffs,
Yes.
like there's Samaritan signs up everywhere. And I
Yes.
thought, like, what a lovely lady, sort of checking that I was
Sure, you're
really
okay.
I'm just a solo woman on a holiday and not like that I wasn't in a bad place or anything. So kudos to the woman at the Cliffs of Moher car park.
Yeah, I think that I noticed that when we were there were a lot of places like that where it's just like cliff and over. Where I feel like in America, if there's any place like that, we're so
It's because you're so litigious, you see.
litigious. That's the word I was going to say. You don't find that here, where
No,
you
it's like
just
it's like fend for yourself.
yeah. I mean, it really
Yeah.
kind of took breath away, for that. But
Yeah.
no,
Well, in fairness, the Cliffs of Moher, like they have closed down a lot of that path, and they are, and like we have a path here between, I think it's Bray and Greystones in the south of Dublin, which has been closed for ages because it did get dangerous. But like things really things have to be really bad before something gets
Yeah.
closed off. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I still want you to write a book about it set in the Wicklow Mountains.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, some of the bodies in some of my books have ended up in the Dublin Mountains, which are just basically the Wicklow Mountains over the border kind of thing. But the
Yeah.
Wicklow Mountains, I probably wouldn't, because that is the most likely place where our missing women are,
Yes.
the women from the Vanishing Triangle. And so I feel that would be, as you know, I have used real things in a number of my books, but I think that would be nearly too
Too
on the
spot
nose.
on. Okay. I was
Yeah,
wondering if you'd ever write a book about them.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think, like, that's probably where at least a couple of them actually are, and have been for 30 years, so over 30 years now, so that's a bit close to the bone. But the Wicklow Mountains are, aside from that, like, absolutely beautiful. I mean, like, movies are filmed there because they're so scenic and gorgeous, but they also have, this dark side, because they're
Yes.
so remote and there's so much of them, there's so much land.
Someone's asking about it. So just Google, I'm sure you could Google the vanishing women in Wicklow Mountains and it would
The
tell.
Vanishing Triangle, that's what you should Google.
Vanish. Okay. Very good.
Yeah.
Well, Catherine, I hope just all the best to you with your introducing you to the United States, and just remember us, back in
If
knowing.
I'm ever physically there, it will be my number one stop, especially because Hazel has been there. I
I know
can't let this continue. That Hazel got to Fabled before me.
Hazel and
And
I
she
had a
loved
lovely
it, and
dinner.
she loved all of you.
Yes, and we adore you and just wish you the very best of luck, and can't wait to read your next book because they're all so wonderful. So have a good night's sleep, and thank you for
Thank you
joining.
so much. And thank you, everyone, for joining.
All right,
Bye.
thank you. Bye.